You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards-Nagel, and Taylor Polindo.
All right, we're back. Number 2 of our AFAF shorts. TalkDoc.
That's right. Happy New Year's, everyone.
Happy New Year.
So we're back to doing the shorts, and what we talked about in the first one, if you heard that one, is we're trying to identify communication New Year's resolutions. So these are not the regular resolutions that you and I might tend to normally commit to, but these are ones about communication. And so one of the common areas that a lot of people will set New Year's resolutions around is this concept of getting more fit. Mm-hmm. So here's what I'm thinking. What is communication fitness then?
Is this a quiz?
Oh, you want one? Sure.
Right,
I actually wasn't ready to do it, but I think it's time.
Oh, I thought that was like a jump into a quiz. I thought it was. Oh, you have one. Okay,
I have one.
This is happening now.
Yeah, so it's apparently happening now. It wasn't on my mind yet, but thank you so very much.
All my planning and all of the time I've spent with you, I thought maybe this was coming.
You were that student that reminded the professor, like, oh, did you forget we were supposed to have a quiz today?
No, I was not that student.
No, Meredith was not that student.
That's what I'm feeling right now.
Thank you for clarifying that I was not that student.
You remember being in the audience though and looking at that student like you're joking that you just brought this up. You're joking.
Because everyone was glaring into the back of their head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've got a question for you. According to a poll taken January 2021, what was the number one New Year's resolution in the United States?
To get healthier?
The number one?
What's the number one resolution in January of 2021?
Travel.
I love that. I don't know that anyone, it didn't even make the top 5, actually, travel. Although it probably did in people's minds because they were ready to go.
Hopeful.
So doing more exercise.
Oh.
Okay.
But really close to that, losing weight, which is the one we did before this. So on people's minds, now I'm thinking, of course it would be, because we're all sitting around more than normal. Mm-hmm. So then that kind of brings us back to fitness a little bit. Okay, next question. So of those who actually make specific New Year's resolutions, after 6 months, how many are still keeping those resolutions?
12%.
15.
Okay, you're going to be a little surprised at this.
37.
46. 46% say they're still doing the resolution after 6 months.
Some of them are lying.
Okay.
I don't know those people, but okay.
You don't hang out with those people? Okay, well.
I don't know anyone like that.
Of those who made resolutions in 2020, what percentage kept them a year later? We're saying a year after you've made the resolution, what percentage claims they did it?
27%.
32.
It is 35.
Damn.
I forgot to check out my calculator.
Yeah. No, the thing that's interesting about that to me is that that seems high.
Yeah.
I mean, good for everyone, right? But that seems high. So I think it would be higher if they had communication resolutions, of course.
I have an observation relating to our past survival kit from the holidays last year. Okay. You're complimenting the percentage that's very low of people keeping these high, but you guys were not very nice to me when I said I do my Christmas shopping in December.
So you're saying we're biased.
So I'm a little resentful because I probably keep my New Year's resolutions longer than the both of you. So let's go. Communication resolution time.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, Meredith.
Especially for you, honestly. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
That's a little bit of shade she's throwing right there.
Taylor never gets shade on here. It's time. It's her time. 2020 is her year.
That's her year.
2022. What year am I in?
Making the same goal every year, and I think I'm gonna try it again. But I think maybe I did like one of my 12-month goal. Not high standards over here.
Okay.
So Meredith's New Year's resolution is for Taylor to get more shade.
Mine is for her to that and to beat her at all the things.
You do. How do you listen to our podcast? Meredith, tune in, please.
Only just to make myself feel better about myself.
You beat me like at every single quiz. This is hilarious. Okay.
All right, come on.
Is there more to this quiz, or are we going into it now?
No, we're done with the quiz. So
Okay.
I thought that was pretty interesting. So I do think that's a great goal for Meredith to start listening to the podcast. That's a great idea.
Please, we could use the numbers.
Okay. Okay, fitness and communication.
Yeah.
This is number 2, people.
Yep.
Focus.
Get on it.
Okay. So when we're talking about fitness, it seems like we kind of all know the areas of physical fitness. So you have your cardio, you have your strength training, you have your flexibility.
Yeah.
What else am I
What about
missing?
rest? I feel like rest is under thought of when it comes to, it's a very important part of
that's
the
true.
physical regime.
Yeah.
But so if we're going to make this about communication and physical fitness, are we talking about what we're adding to our life now? So like last episode was what we're taking out. So this is what we're adding.
I don't know that you know if you're fit until you take a test. So have you ever been late, like in the airport, and you start having to run with heavy baggage and you find out maybe you weren't working out as much as you thought?
Yes.
Right. And so you kind of think to yourself, whoa, I'm like maybe not as in shape or as young or as spry as I used to be.
Mm-hmm. So
And
what's
so
a
that's-
communication example of that feeling?
Well, I think people get into conflict and they feel overwhelmed.
I was gonna say, I feel like I know that exact feeling. And it's when you're in this heavy conversation, you're like, well, shit, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It feels like everything is going just downhill.
Mhm.
And I know I'm contributing to this, but what do I do to get out of it? I literally have no idea how to
Right.
stop. Didn't do enough squats.
But I think the test kind of shows you your fitness.
Yeah. So being in a hot, like a conflict situation, maybe would be an example we've talked about before. Emotional flooding. So like if I'm like, I go into like fight or flight or freeze mode, that would be me knowing like, oh, I haven't stretched this muscle enough. I haven't worked my heart out enough on this. I haven't worked that muscle to practice these things, which when I think about this physical fitness and communication, it makes me think if I'm going to plan and practice and stretch and work out these things, I'm going to do them in trusted relationships first.
Yeah, that's good.
Sounds wise.
Yeah, I think that's a good comment. I also think, per your example of emotional flooding, when you get flooded is when you realize you never did set up the strategy. So we talked about taking a break and we gave the theory behind that and the John Gottman research, but then it's like, so actually though, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Actually, what should I do? Tell me, please.
Well, go for a run. I don't know what it is. I don't know if
But
it's
in communication, is it like what do I do to when I know that's going to happen? I have those high stress relationships, those moments where I freeze in tension. How do I stretch or physically work on that communication part of myself?
I mean, it seems to me that you would develop a strategy to exit temporarily, but you would also have a playbook of things that you would say to re-enter.
Okay.
Because the big thing is if you never come back to having the conversation, then it's just avoidance.
Okay.
And so then it's having a series of statements that you maybe plan out and use to re-engage, whether that's a code word, whether that's a sentence that partner you're working with understands what you mean by that sentence, but doing the actual work around that and setting that up in advance.
Okay. Taylor, your wheels are spinning.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd want to like press pause. I feel like I've seen couples say like, I need a break from this fight. We just a timeout. Can we be friends again? I need a timeout. But I thought the important part you mentioned was coming back. We have to come back to get the resolution. Otherwise, we'll just keep going down this path of unresolved conflicts. For me, I was thinking of stonewalling. And I, as someone lovingly pointed out, it's painful to watch me stonewall. It was told to me recently. He said, we're going to narrow down who said this to me. Not that I was doing it to him, but he just said, you just stop and you just are silent, and that looks really painful. So I guess that's me getting flooded. I think of it as I don't know. I guess I need that phrase.
So maybe, well, what I'm wondering is the New Year's resolution to say, okay, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to do it X way. Not 100%, because I don't think that's realistic, because sometimes there's parties, other people there, or it's not going to work out. Children present, whatever. But setting a goal for saying this many times out of 10, I'm going to use the strategy that I set up. Just thinking New Year's resolutions.
So really we need to, for this resolution to work, we have to probably write down actual ways, like the actual strategy part.
Yeah.
We probably
Actually,
have
that's
to actually
great.
do that.
That's great that you said that, because that actually was in that second quiz question about, it asked people who specifically identified resolutions. So it's not like, oh, I should handle flooding better. What a great idea. But actually deciding how you want it to go would be what most people would say is a better resolution.
So this can't just be like I'm going to stretch this communication skill when I have the time, but it's like, this is just something I'm going to focus on, this exact thing that I do. When I freeze intention, when I have that, whatever it is, that thing that I want to work on communicatively, I have to make a plan for how I'm going to do better at it. I like this. I really keep thinking a lot about this goal, is that for me, I have to make sure I'm doing it somewhere that's trusting, not beat myself up if I can't do it in a trusting relationship.
I thought about with this one, the 1 by 1 that Brene Brown talks about. And that's what I'm hearing you talk about, Mary, is maybe you need to look again. If you remember, it's a little piece of paper, about an inch big, a little square.
Yeah.
How many names can you write on 1 inch? And
not tiny, because I would do that.
You put 100,
because that would be cheating.
But it's the list of people that, what do you say? It's kind of who's important, whose voice is important to you, those important relationships.
Yeah.
Does it matter to this person who's on, check your 1 by 1, check your list of.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you want to look at that list and start with those people. Those are your trusted relationships.
And those people will be there with me when I'm sore, because I worked that muscle a lot and it's not always great.
Okay, but real question, how many people are on your list, Dr. K?
Oh, on my 1 by 1?
Yeah. How many?
I think 4.
4, okay.
But I can't say what they are, because that would be breaking Brene's rule.
Right. Yeah, don't tell.
But there's a bunch of people who think they should be on it.
Yes.
But that's a different thing. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my resolution. Okay. So for fitness, I gave the example of like running in the airport, but one of the things that I always do to test my fitness in communication is I do mediations in the court system. And I was just looking over my record of 2021, not my record of resolution, but how many times I went. And it was a little lower this year, actually. I did 15 cases, which normally I do more than 20. So I think one of the things that I think about when I get into disputes with parties I don't know, in court cases that I haven't heard before, it's a really good test of my communication skills. So it's like a fitness test. And so I was thinking I would like to do that fitness test more than 20 times this coming year. Or actually, why don't we make it 22, right?
Oh.
2022. Let's do 22 mediations. That doesn't mean they're all resolved, but I'm not talking about that statistic. I'm just saying I'd like to put myself out there 22 times to test that fitness, because that's where I get real information about how I'm doing.
You're not competitive at all.
No.
I didn't hear any of that.
Nope. Nope.
That's really good. I like that. You have a specific number that you want to hit.
Yeah.
And that will inevitably make you better, because just by practice.
Well, and then in December of 2022, y'all are going to ask me, and I'm going to be like, I have 22 mediations this month, so I'm very busy.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan, and I'm going to get ready to ask you that in December of 2022.
Okay, you can write that down. All right, so that's our second episode, asking you to think about what's your fitness resolution for communication, and just start thinking as you're listening to this and watching this podcast episode, what are you doing to get more fit communicatively? And is it a goal that you want to do with someone on your 1 by 1? which
Yeah.
is a fun thing to think about. So in my hand, I have an Asking for a Friend mug. I think you all have yours too.
Me too. Weird.
Okay, all of us
So
have
weird.
them. And so if you're seeing us on YouTube, or if you are listening to us on the podcast audio format, on one side of this mug is our logo, and on the other side is the hashtag not coffee. And so here's the thing. You might have heard this already, but we have a contest going. And the contest is for you to mail us your holiday survival kit story. What story do you have from the holidays to report back to us? So
Maybe not mail it though, because I don't know who's going to get it if you mail it.
Did I say mail it?
Maybe email it to us at
Did I
hello@afafpodcast.com.
say mail? Oh my God.
Tag us
We
on
gotta keep that.
Instagram. Tag us on Instagram, afaf.podcast.
That's right.
Okay. So email us or get us on Instagram. I'm going to try to work on my communication. So there's that.
I love it. It's us. It's real. It's good.
That's right.
Number 2, we did it.
Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.